ch1. You are listening at famvetv.info. The subway sped out of the dark tunnel and a gust of wind hit him, blowing Nan Huailin's hair out of his face. He stood quietly, like a statue, while waiting for the doors to open. He walked in expressionlessly, saw an empty seat, and walked over to it, but he was preempted by someone. So, he had to grab the handrail instead and stand to the side, lowering his head and dropping his eyes. He saw a pair of AJ limited edition sneakers. Half a month ago, he bought a pair of identical sneakers to give Shiryen as a birthday present, and half an hour ago, 5 minutes into the film banquet, he was dumped. From high school to now, 7 years of love, gone in a split second. It was really that fucking easy. Nan Huailin did not want to cry, but the tears still indisputably gushed out. He wiped a handful of tears, but the more he wiped, the more tears there were and the more they fell. Fei Cheng's face was covered with an anti-smog mask and a pair of sunglasses on the bridge of his nose. His eyes were closed, dozing, when suddenly some cold liquid dripped onto the back of his hand, so he jerked awake, pulling the sunglasses down a bit. A pair of nice peach blossom eyes traced upward to see a wet face. Fei Cheng pushed his sunglasses up and reached into his pocket to pull out a pack of tissues, handing them over in silence. Nan Huailin froze, reached out and took it, pulled out a tissue, returned the rest, and whispered, "Thank you," in a hoarse sobbing voice. Fei Cheng didn't take it. "You can keep it." Nan Huailin said, "Thank you," again and put the tissues into his pocket. When they arrived at Shidan Station, the subway stopped. Nan Huailin let go of the handrail and unfolded the tissue to wipe his tears. When the doors were about to close, a girl stormed in and slammed into Nan Huailin. Nan Huailin was knocked and spun halfway around. He stumbled on his feet, lost his balance, and accidentally sat on Fei Cheng's lap. Nan Huailin. Fei Cheng. Nan Huailin hurriedly stood up, bowed and uttered a "sorry," while the girl who hit him kept apologizing to him. The scene was very awkward and comical for a while. Fei Cheng waved his hand expressionlessly, but in fact, he was now gnashing his teeth. He had just been hit hard in the crotch, and the pain was so severe that his scalp became numb and he wanted to burst into tears. Shit. Who else would know the sadness of having a big cock? It was too fucking vulnerable. After this upsetting episode, Nan Huailin forgot to be sad, and his tears stopped falling, but he was still a bit disoriented. The phone suddenly rang. Nan Huailin took it out for a look, but there was no call. It was strange, but he saw the man in front of him take out his phone, look at it, and hang up the phone directly. It wasn't that Fei Cheng didn't want to answer, but he was still in pain, so he couldn't open his mouth. Nan Huailin put his phone back into his pocket, still wondering how this person's ringtone was the same as his. He didn't like the ringtone that came with the iPhone, so he looked for a tutorial on the internet and spent a lot of effort to set the ringtone to his favorite song. Just thinking about it, the ringtone sounded again, "Will you still love me, when I'm no longer young and beautiful?" Nan Huailin and Fei Cheng took out their phones at the same time. Fei Cheng glanced at the phone, then raised his eyes to look at the person standing in front of him. This time it was Nan Huailin's cell phone that rang. And the caller ID was Red Crane. The real name of Red Crane was He Dinghong, and he was Nan Huailin's agent. Nan Huailin graduated from Beijing Film Academy almost a year ago but was still an unknown actor who was barely making ends meet by taking small roles. He originally did not expect to sign with an agency, as, since his junior year of college, he had only been in small drama groups with insignificant cannon fodder passerby roles. About half a year ago, he played a young hooligan who bullied the female lead and was KO'd by the male lead with 3 punches and 2 kicks. Then he got the offer and Nan Huailin was so flattered that he agreed to sign without hesitation. After signing with a big company, he thought he was going to be on the road to prosperity, but reality hit him hard. He was still playing small roles, and his acting opportunities were not as many as when he used to be in drama groups. This was because drama groups preferred to use actors without agents for small roles, as they were, in one word, cheap. Brother Hong. Nan Huailin answered the phone and called out politely, "Have you arrived at the place?" He Dinghong asked. "I'm on the subway." Nan Huailin looked up at the route map. "There's still one more stop to go. Go back to the office as soon as you finish filming," He Dinghong said. I have something to tell you. Nan Huailin replied, okay, and without waiting for him to ask what it was about, the other side just hung up. Just then, a text message alert popped up promptly. After clicking on it, he saw it was from the bank. Your savings card account with the last number 3585 received 1 million renminbi at October 18, 32 on April 5, with a current balance of 1,002,537 renminbi and 69 cents. Construction bank, 1 million. There was no need to think, to know who transferred this money, Nan Huailin sneered. What is this? 7 years worth of prostitution, Shi Yan, you are really fucking generous. Nan Huailin suppressed his anger and called Shi Yan. When the subway arrived, and Nan Huailin just walked out, the call was answered. He said coldly, what do you mean by this? The other side was silent for a few seconds and replied, it's compensation for you. Compensation. Nan Huailin sneered. Shi Yan, listen carefully, Nan Huailin, wouldn't want a dime from you even if I were to starve to death. From now on, you go your way, and I'll cross my bridge. Just pretend that we never knew each other in our lives. After saying that, Nan Huailin hung up the phone directly. Fei Cheng was walking behind Nan Huailin, and every step up the stairs caused his balls to ache, but when he heard the phrase, Nan Huailin, even if I were to starve to death, he couldn't help but laugh out loud, because he thought of the emoji packet that was so hot on Weibo recently. Nan Huailin felt his eyes were sore and raised his hand to wipe them, but there were no tears. He suddenly thought of a famous line. These years of love and time, after all, are a mistake to pay. The wall next to the escalator was plastered with posters of the Sichuan banquet. Nan Huailin looked at the familiar handsome face in the poster and smiled, a bit sad. Although he had said something harsh in a fit of anger, he had loved him for 7 years, how could he say he didn't love him? The most dazzling period of his life, from 17 to 23, was spent with this person, and he was worried that he would not forget him in this life. The more he thought about it, the more sad he was, and the more tears flowed down his face. Nan Huailin tilted his head slightly and tried to sing the song, Heartache, to himself. We used to love each other, the thought of it makes my heart sore, I used to have you, it really makes my heart sore. A familiar ringtone sounded behind him. Nan Huailin turned around and saw the person who handed him the tissues on the subway. He didn't take a good look at the person before, but now realized that he was really tall, with a pair of long legs that were particularly striking. Nan Huailin glanced at him, then turned back, hearing the phone behind him. The car was confiscated by my brother and I came by subway. I'll be right there, 5 minutes. 5 minutes later, Nan Huailin walked into the elevator of the National Hotel. Fei Cheng followed him in. Nan Huailin smiled at him politely, reached out and pressed the 15th floor, and when he saw the person next to him standing still, he asked, what floor are you going to? I'll press it for you. Fei Cheng replied, the same as you. Nan Huailin said, wow, then fell silent. Ding. The 15th floor arrived. The two of them went out one after the other. Fei Cheng walked forward with ease, while Nan Huailin followed the signs to find the direction and circled around a bit before finding room 1536. The door was open, the crew was coming in and out, and the cameras were already in place. Nan Huailin asked a girl passing by, hello, I'm today's temp. Actor, where is Director Zhang, please? The girl swept him a glance, raised her hand and pointed to the opposite room, turned her head and walked away. The door of the room opposite was closed, so Nan Huailin knocked on the door, heard a, come in, and pushed the door open. The first person he saw was actually the one he had been traveling with on the subway, and he was stunned. Fei Cheng was also a bit surprised to see him, but he was wearing sunglasses, so no one noticed. Nan Huailin walked in and saw the other two people in the room. One was Director Zhang Heng and the other was the actor Shen Chong. Director Zhang, Nan Huailin bowed respectfully. I'm today's provisional actor, my name is Nan Huailin. Sorry, I'm late. Zhang Heng's expression was a little foul. Do you think it's fair to make the director and the main actor wait for a stand-in like you? Nan Huailin bowed again, I'm sorry. Zhang Heng asked, which company are you from? Nan Huailin responded, Mingxi Media. When they heard this answer, the other three's expressions changed. Zhang Heng glanced at Fei Cheng, coughed slightly awkwardly, and his tone lightened. Don't just stand there, go and do your makeup and come to this room afterward, I'll discuss the scene with you and Shen Chong. Nan Huailin nodded in agreement, turned around, and went out, closing the door behind him. Shen Chong took out cigarettes, handed one to Zhang Heng and Fei Cheng, and lit one for himself, smiled and said to Fei Cheng, take off your glasses in the room, okay? Fei Cheng pulled down the sunglasses a little, revealing the bruises on his eyes, and pushed them up again. Shen Chong smiled more deeply, yo, who is so bold, to even dare to hit you? Fei Cheng said, who else but my brother? Shen Chong was not surprised. You've only been back in China for 2 days, how did you make him so angry? Fei Cheng explained very casually, yesterday, I raced with some buddies and crashed his Ferrari. Holy shit. Shen Chong was now a bit shocked. That Ferrari must be worth more than 20 million, right? Zhang Heng corrected, 20.2 million. Shen Chong scared twice, if it were me, I'd have ruined you instead of just beating you up. Fei Cheng smiled cynically, I was reduced to riding the subway, don't rub salt into my wounds, okay? Shen Chong took a drag from the cigarette and switched the topic to something else, are you still going back to the United States? Fei Cheng said, I've got my diploma in hand, so why go back? From now on, this brother will be living in Beijing. Shen Chong asked, are you going to work at Mingxi with your brother and play second fiddle? Fei Cheng said, let's talk about it in 2 months. Shen Chong smiled and said, before you were in the United States, the sky was high and the emperor was far away, your brother could not control you. But now you are back home, hanging out under your brother's nose, I want to see how you'll soar. Fei Cheng shrugged, what's wrong with being under his nose? I can still fly into the sky. Shen Chong shook his head, no wonder only your brother loves you. Fei Cheng pulled up the corners of his mouth to smile, he is my older brother, if he doesn't love me, who will? Hey, when will you finish shooting? When you're done, let's go drink with our buddies. Shen Chong smiled and said, it depends on director Zhang. Zhang Heng said, I can't say, it depends on the level of this actor. Shen Chong was confused, he just said he was from Mingxi, how come I've never seen him in the company? Shen Chong was also an actor from Mingxi, and was a popular celebrity. Although his acting skills were only average, with his handsome face and superb variety show performance, he still drew countless fans, having over 30 million fans on Weibo. Zhang Heng said, Mingxi signed a bunch of small actors a while ago under each agent, except the ones who are popular, like you. But they were mostly like that kid, indiscriminate. Anyway, they only get a base salary and even less money to spend on marketing. If they get a job on a drama, it's the same pay, so we do not lose money. Why not do it? It's no loss to us. This circle is just like this. Shen Chong burst into the limelight as soon as he debuted. He didn't know anything about what Zhang Heng just described, so after he heard it, he just laughed and said without much concern, although it is abusive, he is also too promiscuous, right? All he is a passerby, and if he is thrown into a pile of people no one would be able to notice him. In this circle, being ugly is not the worst, mediocrity is the worst. The audience will never remember you, and it's a waste of time. Outside the door, Nan Huailin had stopped before knocking. Shen Chong was right. He was, indeed, very mediocre. His face was very bland, not good looking but also not ugly. He was neither tall nor short, but rather just average. There was no way he could become popular, the truth was often more heartbreaking than the slander. Nan Huailin was caught off guard by a painful jab, however, he had a good psychological quality, quickly adjusted his facial expression, and waited for a change of topic inside before knocking on the door to enter. Fei Cheng swept a glance at Nan Huailin, who had changed his makeup and clothes and had no expression. There were no thoughts in his mind, and he lowered his head to play with his phone. Zhang Heng extinguished the second cigarette he hadn't finished smoking, picked up a teacup to drink water, and was ready to give Shen Chong and Nan Huailin the rundown on the drama. Nan Huailin took advantage of the make-up time to go through the script Shin Chong left on the dressing table. His time on screen today could be explained with a single sentence. Chen Shin got drunk, took the little one to the hotel, and fucked him roughly. Nan Huailin was playing the little duck, who didn't even have a name. Zhang Heng asked Nan Huailin, by the way, what did you say your name was? Nan Huailin replied, my name is Nan Huailin, you can call me Nan. Zhang Heng nodded and was still explaining the scene while he was walking to the location. Later on, the shooting will start from the time you two enter the door. Xiao Nan will put Shin Chong on the bed, and unbutton his shirt, but don't take it off. Xiao Nan, you will have to take off your shirt, and then start kissing Shin Chong. You cannot half-s this, you must really kiss. This is acceptable to you both, right? Shin Chong nodded first. Nan Huailin hesitated for a short while before nodding as well. Shin Chong's heart was a little unhappy, but on the surface, he didn't show it. Zhang Heng then said, Xiao Nan will kiss Shin Chong while putting his hand into his pants, touching his penis through his underwear. Shin Chong, you have to take off Xiao Nan's pants to reveal his ass. You'll squeeze his buttocks hard to pinch out red marks, and then roll over and press him to the bed. Then the scene is finished. Nan Huailin did not expect the scale of this scene to be so big, both to touch Shin Chong's key parts, while he had to show his ass that in fact, Ding Hong recently gave him a clear scene of selling his body, but he thought it was just showing his boxers, swimming shorts, and underwear, but this time was really beyond his range of acceptance. Zhang Heng asked, Shin Chong, do you have any questions? Shin Chong shook his head, it's just being touched by a man, what's wrong with that? I used to jerk off with my best buddies. He was very familiar with Zhang Heng and Fei Cheng, so he was not shy about mentioning it. Zhang Heng laughed at him and asked Nan Huailin, what about you, Xiao Nan? No problem, right? Nan Huailin cherished every opportunity to act, but the scale was too much. He said in a negotiating tone, Director Zhang, can I not show my butt? Can he just pinch it through my pants? Zhang Heng was notoriously bad-tempered, and when he heard Nan Huailin's comment, his face immediately turned unpleasant. He opened his mouth to curse but was mindful of Fei Cheng's presence, and since he didn't want to look at the master to beat the dog, he swallowed the profanity that was on his lips and replied as calmly as possible, we'll clear the set when the shooting starts. The set will be cleared, so it will be just me and the camera, you don't have to be embarrassed. Nan Huailin, who had been hanging out at film sets since the third year of college, had seen all kinds of faces and had long been trained to face eyes filled with fire. When he saw the slight change in Zhang Heng's expression, he knew it was useless to say more, so he stopped talking about it and obediently said, okay, I understand. Shin Chong glanced at Nan Huailin, smiled, and said, then let's start filming, finish it early and call it a day. Zhang Heng said, then let's go to the room across. When Shin Chong passed by Fei Cheng, he tapped him on the shoulder and said, wait for me here, let's go for a drink after the shooting. But Fei Cheng said with interest, can I go and watch? I've never seen what a movie shoot is like. Shin Chong was a bit embarrassed and threw the problem to Zhang Heng, Director Zhang, you see. Zhang Heng smiled and said, this drama was cast by Ming Shi, the actors are also a part of Ming Shi, if Boss Fei wants to observe, who dares to stop you? Nan Huailin inclined his head to look at Fei Cheng, Ming Shi, Fei Cheng, this person should be the legendary brother Fei Zheng, right? The company's big boss, Fei Zheng, was the most mysterious man in the entertainment industry, rarely appearing in public, never giving any interviews, and one can't even find a single picture of him online. Nan Huailin had been with Ming Shi for half a year but had never seen what Fei Zheng looked like, only heard that he was in his early 30s and had a brother who was studying in college in the United States, whose name was unknown. Nan Huailin only took a glance and then withdrew his eyes, followed Shin Chong, and went to the room across with a heart full of apprehension. The author has something to say. Spoiler alert. The ugly duckling will turn into a white swan. Listen to the full novel at famvetv.info, direct link in the description.